What's up, Alizy? What's up, y'all? Y'all gotta get the likes up. People on TikTok, people on YouTube. Share, repost, get the likes up. Come on. We gotta get people. Gotta get people up. What's up, Justin? I've heard there's been no progress to your little GoFundMe endeavor. Come on, we gotta get people up. You gotta get to 1,000 likes. We only got 10 people here. Just started. We're a quarter already the way to 1,000 likes. Come on. Share and repost. Get people up. Come on. Share and repost. Double tap that screen. What's up, Astro? Yeah, I'm hoping this stream's good too. That's why we gotta interact to make it that way. So we could get good people, decent people. I guess they don't, Justin. I don't know. Maybe it could give me views. I don't know. Hold up. Come on, y'all gotta get the likes up. Do you believe in a dentist? My teeth are clean. If I do get a good dentist and get my wisdom teeth taken out, I'm actually months behind on that. I gotta get all my wisdom teeth taken out. I bet at least 2. What does that mean? How has nothing created something? Okay. How many tag apologists are we betting for? Oh, that okay. I don't know. Maybe 1, and I hope only 1. Can I be mod? I don't even know who you are, to be honest, now. No wisdom teeth, no wisdom teeth. Come on, y'all gotta get the likes up. We gotta get to 3,000 likes. We're really pretty much right there. Share and repost. If y'all want to talk on YouTube, by the way, you could join the Discord. It's pinned. You could join the call-in section. We could talk there. Come on. How many people we have here? 40? Yeah, I don't know why the likes are going up so slow. Y'all gotta seriously interact. We got 40 people. Oh, we got Covey. What's up, Covey? I haven't seen you in ages. So you joined. Yo, what's poppin', Covey? Y'all gotta get the likes up. We gotta get people up, for real. Let's not take all day interacting and we never get people up. Come on. Can I be mod? Yeah, Astra only has been a mod for a short time. But I give it like a couple more days and maybe I'll think about modding you, but because I don't think we need like a lot more mods, but sometimes the mods are out or whatever, so. And YouTube is really the only place I need mods. Upcoming on your YouTube, got some heat? Yeah. I got some good videos lined up. If you ever want to watch some early access, exclusive content and ad-free, then of course subscribe to the Patreon. If I was a mod, I would change everything. I should get a YouTube mod. Are you ever even on the YouTube? Come on, we gotta get people up. Y'all gotta interact. We got 50 people, it says. I don't know what we're doing. Get to 6K likes, share, repost. How do we have no one in the queue still yet? And it's been literally a full 5 minutes. Full 5 minutes. We averaged 30 viewers in that 5 minutes, and we have nobody. Of course, people on YouTube are too scared to talk, so I'm not even worried about them. People on TikTok, though, yeah, where are we at? What's up, Brenda? You'd become the Mr. Beast of atheists. Yeah. Brez talking about the ontological argument. Are we serious? He said the ontological, not modal. Well, he did say Plantinga. Yeah, that's weird. Does he mean the modal ontological argument? Yeah, because Plantinga's argument is MOA. Come on, we gotta get people up. You gotta get people up. You won't even answer my question. I haven't seen your question, but if you want to ask a question, that's why you request up. No one really cares about chat. Let's be for real. Do you believe logic is grounded in the universe? My God. Well, we gotta get people up. You gotta get the legs up. There's something.
Hey, what's up, monkey boy?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah,
what's
so
going on?
I want you to argue from the standpoint of a Christian. Can you do that? Do you think you can take that on?
No, we're not doing that.
No, because I just want to say if yeah.
It says, what's your best evidence or argument? What arguments or evidence do you have?
Yeah, I know, because you're smart, I just wanted to know your take on it, but okay, it's fine.
Oh,
could you give me your take on it?
Or have an evidence argument?
No, I'm more like for Christians. Because I argue with Christians, so and I just want to know, well, because they believe he's God. But when I say to them, if he slept and humans sleep, but he possesses two natures, a divine and a human nature, then does the godly nature just disappear when he sleeps, or is he still God?
I'm gonna let you go. Thanks for coming up. I don't know why you would request out. If you... Yeah, we gotta get somebody who knows how to request up, knowing that they're intending to engage with the topic. Can we, like, seriously get somebody up? What the fuck was that guy? We got a question mark. I'm gonna bring question mark later because we have Johnny. Hey, what do you got?
All right, I got a question. Why do we Christians
you don't have an evidence argument?
Why do we Christians need to argue with non-believers to change your faith? Isn't it on you?
You don't.
To become Christian? It's on you, not on us.
Okay, no one's saying anything about that. But do you have an argument or evidence? When did I say
exactly?
This?
You just said argument. Why do we need the argument to change your faith? It's your faith, not our faith.
Argument as in inference, not argument as in discourse.
And evidence.
Do you know that? Do you know
you need faith? And you don't have faith. Clearly.
Okay, just calm down. Do you know the
I'm just
different
saying,
senses?
you don't have faith and you don't want to believe in God.
You gotta stop talking. Come on, seriously. Jesus Christ, you're like being really obnoxious. Do you know the distinction between argument as in inference and argument as in discourse?
Yeah, not all of us went to school, by the way.
Okay. Is that supposed to be an answer? I'm asking,
No,
do you
but
know the
but
distinction?
but you're still not answering my question though. You're dodging the question.
I already told you the question's loaded. What are you
No, why
talking
do
about?
we Christians need to change your view when it's your faith
I
that
know.
you need to change?
I
You need to change that.
respect.
Us Christians don't need to change.
You gotta stop talking, bro. Come on. What is wrong with you? Like, have some, like, ability to be
No, I'm
aware of
trying to
how
have a
you're acting.
conversation.
Okay, you gotta stop talking, though. You having
So
a
you want someone to
conversation.
interact, but you're gonna start muting me?
Dude, can you, like, yeah, because you're
I'm
not letting me
interacting with
speak.
you. I'm
Okay,
answering.
but you gotta,
I'm getting on
okay,
topic, but
okay, you gotta stop interrupting me. This thing also about me muting you and you instantly unmuting to interrupt me again is, like, really showing.
answer the question.
Okay, I'm just gonna move on because you're not. First, I've already responded. I was trying to repeat back and explain to you my answer, but you're incapable of focusing. You just keep interrupting. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, bro, learn how to behave. Talk about conversation. You don't know how to conversate. Okay, well, I'll bring up a question mark, I guess. I'm not sure.
Yo, what's up?
You have a question or something?
Yeah, it's just some argument against fine tuning I've been thinking about lately, so I wanted to hear your thoughts on it. And it basically just goes something like assuming like God desires rational agents to believe in him or whatever this God's like form is, and the God knows that this rational agents have abilities to be convinced and specifically can predict that fine tuning would have arisen at some point. Given that one of the commitments it seems fine tuning makes of like requiring us to have knowledge of the constants and variability, why is it not like the case that us agents have like, or the constants are set in a way that us agents can traverse the universe and get a larger like sample size of the universe and allow us to know that the constants don't have variability on a larger scale, and then also have it that our scientific instruments can detect variability and then the lack thereof at a much more fine detail.
I'm not sure what you're really talking about, to be honest.
Maybe I'm just like representing the argument badly. I don't know.
You're saying there's some prediction made about fine tuning and then something about discovering. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Basically, like, I'm trying to think of the specific argument because I forgot where I saw it, but basically it goes that because like the small range of constants is that like they say that's going to be where it's life permitting, and then the atheist would say that because the small range of constants would be life permitting, that's going to be a more surprising prediction, assuming the constants don't vary, because then it would be just like we would, I suppose, ask for a mechanism under naturalism as to why the constants are set that way, while theism that would be predicted. But if the constants vary under naturalism, then it would be less surprising. And then given that this God would want us to believe in him, like under some classical theistic hypothesis, suppose we could see more of the universe's size and see that the constants don't vary. I suppose that would be, for at least the theistic hypothesis, evidence in favor of fine tuning, since we can actually update on it more properly, since we only have a small part of the universe we can observe now and check for constants variability or not.
Yeah, I didn't really follow that, to be honest.
Okay, I guess I'm just representing the argument badly, but I can get back to it. But I won't waste any more time, so I'll just drop down.
Okay. Well, sorry, I don't know really what you're saying. I mean, I'm getting distracted a lot by chat, but I'm really just not following what you're talking about. Well, y'all gotta get the likes up, share, repost, try and get somebody up here. Hopefully we can get someone up. The potency argument. You're talking about the first mover? What are you talking about? We gotta get somebody up. Come on. We got 50 people here. Y'all gotta get to 15K like, share, repost. Get somebody up. You drop a course. What do you mean? Wow, we gotta get people up. You gotta interact. Hey, what's up?
I got you. It's because we live in a logical universe, right? It's gotta come from a mind. Like think of it this way: every logical universe exists. Therefore, this universe exists, right? So, design a logical universe in your head. That universe would be this universe. That's my argument. You're welcome.
So I'm assuming you're just a troll.
No, argue
Okay,
against
well,
what I just.
I'm not even gonna bother wasting time with that one. If we could get someone serious up here, that'd be amazing. I can't, like, if that guy was serious, I feel bad for the fact he, like, exists.
Hello, I'm from England. Are you having a lovely day?
Bro, can we get somebody up? Oh, so we get educated opponents. Oh, you mean like lecture people about philosophy, teach people philosophy? Yeah, I don't think I'm doing that. No, sir. I mean, I don't think I'm qualified to do that, but I'm definitely not doing that for free either. Just ignoring that dude again. Are we serious? Are we not? Now we're just like pretty much picking sides. I mean, that guy was clearly not worth wasting time with. Hey, what's going on?
Hello.
Yeah, what do you got?
I was looking into atheism the other day. I found something interesting.
Okay,
Monkey
but
Boy,
what's
can you hear
your
me?
evidence or... Yeah, what's your best evidence or argument could exist?
Yes, I realized most atheists believe in evolution, right? And evolution was an idea that came from Darwin, and Darwin was a Mason. So I looked into the Masons, and at such a high
Is
level,
this
they believe in.
supposed to be an evidence or argument for God?
Yeah, it's evidence. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Okay, so what is supposed to be the evidence?
Yeah, so the people telling you not to believe in God and the devil. So that means they're real, essentially.
I'm confused. What's the evidence God exists?
The people that set up atheism, the pillars of atheism, they believe in God. Think about it.
That's
There's
just...
Hinduism, there's Taoism,
That's...
there's
I don't know,
Taoism.
wait.
Why would atheism do that?
I literally have no idea why you would say that. Let's just assume that... Okay, so how do we get to God exist?
Because these people telling you that evolution is real and God doesn't exist, believe in they worship the devil. You understand?
Okay, now you're repeating yourself. This is just not true, but I'm granting you it.
So
Okay,
research
so
it. Research it.
the research that Darwin was a Freemason.
Yeah, his grandfather, his father, and he was, but they took him off.
What
So it's
what
debated.
does Darwin being a Freemason have anything to do with God existing?
So I read this book from Albert Pike. He's the head Freemason, and Morals and Dogma, right? And he talks about how God is real and people need intellect, and society needs to be guided by people with like the intellect. So for you, in your example, you're guided by, I guess, the atheism. For example, let me ask you, how did you become atheist?
I'm just gonna move on if you can't engage with the topic.
So being boring, man. Just answer the question.
Okay, well, you can come back when you can engage. And I've talked with this guy too before. He's also a huge waste of time, but we could try with this guy.
Hello?
What's up, VV? I remember last time you were completely bankrupt, and for the first 10 minutes you were mumbling nonsense, and then we just kept getting invalid to incoherent arguments, so hopefully you've improved
Well, I
since
did some
then.
I did some reading. I did some reading. And
So
I've
what do you
gotten
have
to the
now?
argument for God. So
I just
after
searched it
looking
up
through a
too.
few,
There's no evidence that Darwin was a Freemason, is what it said. Google AI. But okay.
well, yeah. Anyways, after a few years of reading, actually a few days of reading, I just got to the actual argument. So, P1, do you have the notebook?
Mm-hmm.
All right, P1 is if no necessary thing is possible and a continued totality is possible, then the possible continued totality couldn't have an external explanation.
I can't hear what you're saying.
I'll slow down because you're kind of like below tier. If no necessary thing is possible,
Really
and a
stupid
continued
rhetoric when
totality
you're
is
like
possible.
talking at like half the volume of every speaker. If I can't believe you're calling me a low tier when the last time I talked with you, you didn't even know what validity was. You couldn't construct a valid argument. Now I'm hearing an
I do know
awful
what
echo. What is validity?
You were saying my.
What is validity? You gotta fix your mic, but what is validity? Is he going to, he's gonna confront AI?
It means when the premise follows.
Yeah, you just Googled that. What does it mean to say that a premise follows?
Like it comes.
It comes. That's what it means by it follows?
Like you could just like look at it and then you could tell it'll like be true.
Do you know what a truth table is?
Yeah, it's like the thing that shows if a premise is true.
What? What are you talking about? What is...
Like
okay,
it shows if the...
what is... No, that's just not true. But what is the truth conditions for a conditional statement? Where are the truth condition? And stop like typing and Googling. We could hear you clicking around. Okay, this guy's just a troll. I'm just gonna move on.
Repeat the question.
Okay, can we... What is this live? We're literally getting either like Neanderthals or trolls. We're just not getting a single person who can even have a conversation. Like point and blank, let alone like an intellectual one. Come on, is there anyone on Discord? Y'all, people on YouTube, you want to come talk, join the Discord. We got 30 people on YouTube. We got 70 people here on TikTok. Y'all gotta get the likes up. You have not been liking the live. That's why we're not getting people in the queue. You're gonna like, share, repost, try and get someone up. It comes. Bro, validity is when premises come. Come on, we gotta get somebody up. Remove the note? Yeah, you're right. I removed the note. So people could see the background. But yeah, we gotta get people up. Come on, bro. Tap the screen. Y'all are not tapping the screen. That's why we're not getting people. People on YouTube, like, subscribe, and gift. Trying to get people up. There's no option to tap it. Bro, are you okay? Boy, I done tapped. Apparently not enough. We gotta get people up, bro. This live feels real bad. I have a feeling this live will not improve. It might even get worse. Favorite movie? Probably a horror movie, because I just love horror movies. Actually, probably isn't. I don't know. I like The Witch. Probably my favorite horror movie, but I also like The Batman, the Robert Pattinson. I actually really like believe it or not, the Justice League Schneider edition. I don't know. What are some other ones? Hey, what's up?
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Coraline, I like a lot. Tom Pearl. You know him? Goodbye. I gotta keep track of movies. I don't even think about like ranking movies. So I don't know what I would consider my favorite movie. But horror movies are definitely my favorite genre. Without a doubt. So many good horror movies. Yet not enough as well. Gotta get the likes up, bro. Y'all gotta interact. We're still at like 14k likes. What are we doing with 60 people here? Share and repost. We gotta be patient. Y'all gotta keep interacting so we can get somebody up here eventually. But The Witch director has a bunch of good movies. Yeah, I've seen I forgot what it's called. I know he made Norseman and he's made The Lighthouse. I didn't like The Lighthouse. I actually never finished the movie. I think I was like 20 minutes away from finishing the movie, but I was just not really interested. I might rewatch the movie beginning to end, finally complete it, but I don't know if I've watched Norseman. I think I've seen the beginning of it, but his directing's really good. But The Witch is just one of my favorite horror movies in general.
You gotta see Obsession, bro.
I've heard that. Actually,
I haven't
I don't
seen
know.
it yet,
Maybe
but I've seen
I'll
all
watch it
over
in theater.
TikTok.
I heard it's one of the best horror movies. That's what I've actually heard. I don't know. That can't be. I'm gonna give it a watch, but I am gonna watch The Backrooms with my cousins in theaters. But Obsession was good. I don't know. I bet it's probably glazed. There's so many good horror movies. Like Talk to Me. I don't know if you've seen that movie. Insane.
No, I haven't.
It's a really good movie.
What's that about?
What are some? It's about they find some hand. It's like a porcelain hand. And what happened is when you hold it, you get like kind of like possessed. And then like it's a group of teenagers that go to like a party and then they play around with it. And they're basically seeing how long they can hold on to the hand. Right? And they start seeing ghosts and stuff. But then like this one particular kid is kind of Blair Witch Project. Definitely not.
There's a new horror movie that just came out. There's a new horror movie that just came out. I don't know if you heard it. It's called Try Having a Conversation with Russell.
Oh no, that one's too scary for me. No, that. There's also what's it called? Occam or something? I don't know if you heard of that. Hokum.
Oh yeah, I heard of that one.
Yeah, I watched that one. They're all still in theaters though. The thing is, I don't want to drive to the theater and also like paying $15 a ticket. I mean, $15 is nothing, to be completely fair, but I just wish they were out, like, because I bootleg everything. I just wish they had it clear on my phone. Hey, what's up? What do you got?
Yo, so, I mean, I'm not going to be able to convince you or provide you evidence because you already have it made up in your mind, you know, what you want to believe in. But I do have...
What I want to believe in?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you don't want to believe in God, you're going to find every reason to validate that belief. You know what I'm saying? And the whole thing
That's
with
not
God
what this
is...
case is about.
Well, hold on.
So what's this about?
Why would I... Hold on, but why would I want to believe there's no God? Like, why would I want to... I was a Christian apologist, and I just literally became an atheist studying philosophy. I've had I don't really have reasons to. I'm just a rational actor. I'm sensitive to reason, and 80% of it, analytic contemporary philosophers are atheists. The strongest, so it's actually one of the most strongest opinions in philosophy that atheism is true. It's actually one of the most well-supported beliefs in philosophy. Literally 80% of philosophers are atheists. I became an atheist just in the pursuit of reason. In fact, I was polishing my apologetics for Christianity. My whole family's Christian. I don't know what you think I get out of being an atheist. Like, I don't do drugs. I'm not having gay sex. Like, I'm not like in my lustful, sinful ways. Or any of that bullshit rhetoric. So I don't really understand this I made up my mind stuff. My YouTube history has shown that I've changed my confidence significantly. It's been a roller coaster, and I've changed many of my philosophical opinions throughout the history of my channel. So that's just like nonsense rhetoric that you're coming up with. I don't know why you would say that. Like,
okay, so you're just basically
bullshit.
saying that reason and logic turned you away from God. I didn't understand what your stance was. That's why I was saying that.
So you just made up bullshit about my stance because you didn't know it, right? Makes so much sense. You just unfairly
why are you so
characterize me in such a way.
I came up here to have a conversation.
Being condescending?
Yeah, you're
I don't
just
think you
telling
know
me
what
I'm
it
on
means to be
bullshit.
condescending. You are on bullshit. You came up saying that I became an atheist for bullshit reasons, literally just pulled out of your ass. And that's not what it means to be condescending. Me getting frustrated that you came up with no reasons to think that this is my view, then say that's my view.
For you to be frustrated, bro. Like, it's cool.
Okay, I'm just gonna move on. Thanks for coming up, though. There's no reason to be frustrated, right?
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, what do you got?
Why believe in God? Can I say something first? I don't think you're an atheist yet, because you believe, you just don't know yet where to place yourself. That is something else. Because you said you're still looking here and looking there and discovering this, discovering that. So
no, I just think atheism. I think atheism is actually one of the most things I'm confident in out of anything. But that doesn't mean I'm sensitive. I'm not willing to update my confidence given new information. I do these lives for entertainment. I really don't think. I don't even know. I wouldn't even say theism is possible. I don't even think it's possible God exists. But I'm willing to change my opinion if the reasons offered were suitable to make that change. But no, I'm not seeking this. Don't get the confusion because I'm doing these lives. I'm seeking reasons to be a theist. I'm doing this for entertainment. Just like when political people have lives about right wing and stuff and MAGA, they're not doing the lives to be convinced MAGA is wrong. They just do it for entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
But at least I would hope that they're willing to change their view if they were shown to be wrong. I mean, maybe some of them aren't, but. No, I'm actually one of the more robust atheists. I'm a global atheist, and I think it's I'm actually adjacent to thinking God's not possible. I'm not even convinced theism's really possible.
Then who created everything?
Well, that's just that just assumes theism, that question.
Even scientists don't even know what created the Big Bang.
Most philosophers. What does that even mean? I don't know. You mean created the Big Bang? But again, this created talk is do you know what teleological language is?
I know what you mean by teleological language.
Right. So created is teleological language. So it's inappropriate to talk about the universe being created when that's obviously something in contention. Right. You're just assuming theism when you invoke teleological language.
Now you ask evidence or arguments only. So on the background,
language, that wouldn't be evidence. It would be question begging. That's the point I'm making. When you use teleological language, you're just assuming God exists. Now, okay,
let me think about it. Give me a second.
Do you have an argument? Maybe God exists, or what do you have?
Besides the Big Bang, there is any other scientific proof it exists?
Besides the Big Bang? How is the Big Bang a reason to think God exists?
Well, all scientists don't know what happened before the Big Bang, or what happened and what created it, or whatever. So
You're
God is
saying
the
no scientists
only.
have an opinion about that? I mean, that's just not true. But we can assume
No,
that. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's just explicitly false. There's varying
there
opinions
is.
about what happened before the Big Bang. Right? In fact,
There is.
cosmogony, yeah, in cosmogony, there's dozens of answers to that. Literally dozens. But look, let's just assume something just empirically false, that no scientists have an opinion about what's before the Big Bang. Okay, so no scientists have an opinion about what's before the Big Bang. How's that a reason to think God exists?
Another explanation is how can life exist here, and why there is no life on Mars? Why is no life on Saturn? Why are we human beings so perfectly created to breathe, to think, to communicate?
Okay, you gotta listen. You don't keep talking. Focus. Before we pivot, how is the fact that, granted, we're granting you for the sake of argument, there is no idea what is before the Big Bang. Granted that, how is that a reason to think God exists?
You gotta unmute yourself to talk.
Exactly, Stephen. Justice, you're muted. You gotta unmute yourself. You are not the most entertaining RX or XR. Not even close. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, am I back?
Yeah, you gotta pay attention.
I did.
So no, you kept talking and I told you several times to stop, and that's why you got muted. You kept over talking me and you were pivoting to something else. Yeah, so we're asking you how. Oh, calm down. Calm down. Yeah, but you were talking out of place in the conversation. That's why I stopped you, but you didn't stop, so I had to stop you. So right now we're asking, how's the fact, granted for the sake of argument, thanks to you for all the hats, by the way, Fellow Dragon, granted that there is no theory about what happened before the Big Bang, how do we get to God from that?
Look at us human beings. Look at all the birds, all the animals here on the planet Earth. Why is this planet the only one with all the life? There are no other planets that nearby are proof of alien life beyond this. How can
I'm not getting it.
we
So
human
no scientific
beings be
theory
so-
before the Big Bang. How do we get to God?
So how can we human beings be so perfect to be breathing, thinking, seeing?
Okay, perfect. Again, it's
Communicating?
I don't know if you're doing this on purpose. You said you know what teleological language is, so you should be able to detect when you're using teleological language. You're not supposed to be using teleological language because that's assumptive, right? That's question begging. It assumes your position when you say there's that type of teleology. So when you use words like perfect, understanding that's a teleological device, then you're literally just assuming your position. So not only are you're not saying any, now it sounds like you're giving an entirely different line of reasoning talking about life when we're talking about theory of what's before the Big Bang, but you're just saying stuff that assumes your position. So let's just try and be more focused, more clear, and acknowledge the type of language we're doing, right? Try and be a little more precise. So on the screen it shows, you said there's no scientific theory about what's before the Big Bang. Okay, so how do we get from God to this? What are the other steps from this to God?
There are none, only about faith. Faith and believing.
So when you say there's none, you're admitting there's just no more. Okay, so there's nothing. I mean, this clearly. Did you like think this through before you came up? Like, seriously. And he left. Okay. Okay.
I think you should give JJ 10-pack another chance.
He could re-request. Yeah. We're getting, oh my god, this is the monkey boy guests. The past 2 days have been good, and now they realize that I'm not supposed to get the good guests. Now they're sending me back to the algorithm. Goulash.
Yo.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, brother? So,
Yeah, what do you got?
I want to present an argument, and I'll preface this with like, I'm not super well read. I'm trying to read a lot more on philosophy now. So you can totally grill everything I'm gonna say because I'm kind of here just to learn. You seem like super smart, so um, I don't think there's any evidence for God because I don't think science can prove or disprove God. So I'll skip that. But there's this argument for God I think is very interesting. I could go through it, like through the premises and conclusions.
Okay, we could do. I mean, you might not even need to do that if you could just tell me the name of the argument.
Believe it's called the argument from contingency.
All right. Yeah. So, do you know if is it Leibniz argument?
Him, and then there's a more modern dude. I forget his name.
Okay.
Ras. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, if you're running Leibniz, then the argument. Okay, I mean, the first objection is just modal collapse, that the argument is sensitive to modal collapse, because Leibniz has, in the PSR, the principle of sufficient reason, he understands explanations to be sufficient in a way where explanations are entailing. But if explanations are entailing, then from the necessary thing, all explanations, contingent explanations are entailed, then alongside the necessity of God, all the explanations are necessary, so there are no contingencies.
Can you do explain to me what modal collapse is? I don't think I've heard that.
Yeah, it's collapsing contingency. It's a necessity. He would be a necessitarian.
So you're saying that he assumes that some things are necessary when that might not be the case? Is that what you mean?
No. I'm saying he starts with, in a causal chain, there's first a necessary thing. And that necessary thing explains all the contingent things. But what he means by explanation is that the necessary thing entails the things it explains. But if they're entailments, that means necessarily if the necessary thing, the contingent thing. But if they necessarily follow, then they're true in all world. So there are no contingencies because they're necessary. They're necessities. They're true in all possible worlds.
I think I'm following you.
Right. So the
struggling a bit, not gonna lie, but
argument self-defeating because it wants to say there's contingent facts. But on that metaphysics, there aren't contingent facts. There are only necessary facts.
Contingent facts. So there's no contingent facts? Like, so just so I understand, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm trying to understand, don't things that cause other things, those things that they cause would be contingent on the causing thing?
You're using contingent in a different way now. But
that's dependent.
That's not really relevant to what we're talking about. So, yeah, you're using contingent now and dependent. You're just kind of making the water muddy by using words and like equivocating. Yeah, but none of what you're asking even matters to what I'm talking about. I'm saying if explanations are entailing, meaning if P then necessarily Q, then Q is a necessity following P. If P is necessary, then Q thereby is not a contingent. It's not a contingency.
I think we are talking about it in a different way then, for sure. So in this other sense of the word contingent, so can you make an argument with that?
But then you're not running
definition?
Leibniz argument. Yeah, but then you're running a Muslim argument. The way
Really?
if you use contingent where it's used to mean dependent, That's how Muslim
Yes.
philosophers like Evan Sina run the argument. Contingent is not used in a dependency way. Contingent just means is possible but not necessary. It's just used modal.
That's how I understood it. Yeah.
Right.
So
That's
maybe
how
I
Leibniz is running the argument. Yeah, I'm saying that I'm just saying Leibniz' argument just falls afoul of modal collapse, meaning that the thing that explains, if necessary, the things to be explained, the explanandums, are necessarily follow from that thing. But if the thing that does the explaining is necessary, and all the things that it explains are necessary, if that thing is true, then those things are necessarily true too. Because if P is true in all possible worlds, and I say in any possible world P, then Q, and P is true in all possible worlds, then Q is also true in all possible worlds. But if Q is true in all possible worlds, and contingent means is possible but not necessary, necessary meaning true in all possible worlds, then Q is not contingent because it's true in every possible world.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that clarification.
A couple other issues, I mean a lot of other issues. In fact, the contingency argument along with the Kalam are probably two of the most like responded to arguments in like philosophy, religion, history. So obviously that there's not motivations, I think, to accept the PSR. I don't understand metaphysical modality. The stuff about having a necessary first cause or explanation fails because you can have patchwork reasoning. So you can have an infinite series of contingencies where the set is successfully explained in terms of every member explaining each other. So there's like a whole can of worms of issues with this argument.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I definitely think I was looking at it. I think, what'd you call it? Muslim? What was the exact words you used there? So I gotta look it up.
Evan Sina's contingency argument. It's like how he's a popular Muslim philosopher. He runs the contingency argument different than Leibniz. Leibniz means modal contingency. Evan Sina means ontological contingency or ontological dependency.
Right. I think that's actually the argument that was more convincing to me.
Well, I don't think there's ontologically dependent things at all. So I don't even think there's contingent things by that account.
Really? I'm interested as to like how's that so? Like, for
There's just
example,
no reason to buy into that.
what about like I don't know, cause and effect, right?
You don't have to accept causal language or causal talk.
But the argument's not saying causal dependency, it's saying ontological dependency.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That is.
We don't
that is different.
observe anything in the world that's ontologically dependent. So we have inductive reasons to think things are not ontologically dependent. Ontologically dependent is saying if Q failed to exist, if P failed to exist, well, if Q is ontologically dependent on P, if P failed to exist, then Q would fail to exist. But we never see that. Right? Because, like, imagine, you might think, like, when you're boiling water, when you turn off the fire, the water will stop boiling. That's not ontological dependency, that's causal dependency. In fact, that's a more like sustaining causal dependency. Ontological dependency would say something like the water would cease to exist if the fire was not on. We don't observe matter stop existing. We don't observe anything stop existing. Yeah.
So could we make the sorry, by the way,
now we could talk in terms of causal dependency, but
yes,
the issue there is just it's not possible the universe has a cause.
Okay, I'm really interested in that idea. What do you mean it's not possible the universe doesn't have a cause?
Yeah, because on my metaphysics, I'm a counterfactualist about causes, where causes are explanatory relations between events, and events are understood as spatial temporal. So by definition, the universe couldn't be the type of thing that's caused. It's metaphysically impossible.
So what would the conclusion be there then? That it's eternal?
No.
So what would it be?
All
What's
you get, you don't get anything beyond what you get. You just get it can't be caused. It not being caused doesn't tell you if the universe is... If by eternal you mean eternalism, well, no, the universe being caused doesn't tell you whether eternalism is true. Unless by eternal you mean infinitism, then neither follow. Because eternalism is that all moments of time are ontologically real. And then infinitism is that there's like an infinite series of past events. Neither of those follows from the universe not having a cause.
I guess what I'm trying...
It's neutral to both scenarios. I know what you're thinking. Just because it doesn't have a cause, it doesn't
You
mean
can
it's
just
infinite.
imagine there's a finite series of events and there's no cause for the universe.
Yeah. No cause can mean infinite or finite. Like it doesn't entail either.
Interesting. I had no idea. Because the way I'm looking at it, right, this is just super layman, but like...
I mean, even if we assume something like, imagine I didn't have a specific metaphysics of cause where it's epistemically possible the universe has a cause. Okay. I don't really see what that's doing anyways. Like, why would we think the universe is ontologically dependent? Because what we're doing now is we're treating the universe as its own object. So we're kind of reifying the universe. So we have the view, the universe is this type of thing that itself could have a cause. Well, how would we have an inference from all things we observed in the universe having a cause to the universe itself having a cause if it's an inductive inference?
I mean, that's kind of isn't that the argument for God though? Right? Like something external, atemporal,
I'm saying why I think the universe has a cause. And no, the argument doesn't merely say God is the thing that caused the universe. There are atheists who think the universe has a cause. There's still more substantial dispute there. Obviously, God is a minded being, amongst other things. So just establishing the universe as a cause is the universe is contingent and has a necessary thing behind it. I mean, like, obviously, Graham Oppy actually thinks stuff like the universe is or thinks that things are contingent and that there's a necessary thing. He thinks the universe is that thing that is metaphysically necessary. So obviously he's not going to be characterized as a theist when he buys into like contingency arguments or the same type of metaphysical commitments that the state contingency argument purports. Look, so yeah, I mean, it's not really clear how you even support this proposition that the BCCF has an external explanation. If you assume that, I don't really see how that gets you anywhere to God. I don't, like, obviously Graham Oppy could accept that. So there's like so many working parts where it seems like they all fail. And even if you assume like most of the machinery, it doesn't, I don't even see how you still get the product.
Okay, can I just in like super simple terms just very briefly tell you like the argument from how I see it, and then I just love your take on it.
Well, I mean, I understand the argument. I kind of already have been saying my takes with the argument. I think the argument leads to modal collapse. I don't think metaphysical modality makes any sense. I think the PSR is false. I think I think the BCCF doesn't call for external explanation. I don't think it's possible. if the universe is treated as a contingent thing, that it has a causal explanation.
What about, okay, right there, right, where like, so if we know the Big Bang happened, right, like this expansion, this sudden
Still
expansion,
happening.
right, and like we have the CMB, so right, the kind of the thinking there is if you just kind of travel back in time, there is some beginning of the expansion. So doesn't that mean that something, whatever it is, caused this thing to begin expanding?
No.
No. You can have a causeless beginning of an expansion.
I guess I struggle with that. Maybe I need to.
Well, it's just
read
logically
more.
possible. I imagine there's just no support for that claim. It doesn't really matter. Like, there's no support for the claim unicorns exist. It's an outlandish claim, but it's still possible. So it doesn't follow. It's not like if we just, like, the Big Bang doesn't imply that there's a cause of anything. In fact, you can believe in all the putative scientific information, like events like the Big Bang happen. You could believe there's no causes in the world altogether.
Aren't you just kind of like playing, like kind of like you? It's. I get what you mean, and like that's valid, but like, aren't we just like doing like linguistic games at that point? Like,
No.
What's the
These are
linguistic
metaphysical
game?
commitments. Yeah, it's nothing
What,
linguistic.
what would be the linguistic game there?
just that like, how'd you say it just now? You can assume there's like no causes at all, or something like that. How'd you say that?
That the universe just could have, the Big Bang could have no cause.
But like in a physical sense, how is
Yeah,
that
you said,
possible?
Monkey Boy, you said that you can accept all the scientific, claims without thinking that there are causes.
Right.
But how is that like physically possible though? I don't understand that. Like, wouldn't all science just be like moot or whatever? Like,
Science is neutral about causation.
No. Well, I mean, that's somewhat that is controversial in philosophy of science, but there's just a distinction between doing metaphysics and doing science, and it's completely consistent that you believe all the scientific information and deny that there's any causes in the world. There's views like causal limitivism and nihilism, and even quietism, where they don't believe in causes or stuff adjacent to that. So the science isn't committed to metaphysical concepts or doesn't use philosophical devices like cause. Sometimes science does that. Scientists, when talking about science, do pop science, and they tend to bleed from talk to physics to talk to science. Or sorry, talk to science to talk to philosophy. But the scientists are not committed to any like metaphysical commitments, like the metaphysics of cause, whether there are causes, unless you have there are views in philosophy of explanation. There's a branch of philosophy of science, which is the philosophy of explanation with concern to the sciences, and there's a view called causal mechanistic theory, where scientific explanations are understood to be talking about causes, but you don't need to have that view.
Yes.
And largely the scientists who are doing that are unaware of the philosophy of science anyways. So you could be doing science and unconscious of there being this idea that scientific explanations are talking about causes. You would still have to be doing philosophy to talk about that.
Yeah, because I was thinking of it in kind of that physical, science sense that.
But just imagine the Big Bang has no cause.
I just can't. Like, that doesn't.
Think about it.
You're like,
look, you there?
Sorry, I got a call. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, we observe the expansion, right? Like, and we can theoretically go back to like, t=0 or whatever, and like that's when it happened, and doesn't it seem like logical to assume that
maybe we could put it this way.
something.
So, like,
If you're
imagine
assuming, then that's just
I
obviously
mean, we
a
have
bad
to, right?
practice.
Like there is like scientific
Have
presuppositions, right?
to. No, of course you don't have to assume anything.
look, you could just adopt the view that at t equals 0, there's a state of affairs, and then at t equals 1, there's a different state of affairs, and you don't have to adopt any causal language or causal talk, right? So at t equals 0, there is no Big Bang, there's no expansion, and then t equals 1, there's an expansion, and then you don't have to say that there was there's no causal link there.
You could just have
I guess
events
that's what I
happening, and the happening isn't causal.
What other, like, where else could I see something like
But I
that
don't.
where there is no cause to anything
You could
We
or to
don't.
one thing?
Well, there's a whole SCP about how there's counterexamples to causal principles that talks about things we might arguably have that are causally inert, but that's not really relevant. We don't even need examples of things being uncaused. The claim isn't that the Big Bang is uncaused. I never said anything like that. I'm just saying it's a logical possibility, which is really trivial. I'm just saying something really obvious. It's not logically necessary. Anything has a cause. That's just fact. That's just a fact. No one says this.
Yeah.
That's logically necessary.
Yeah.
Things have causes. Right. So I'm just
I
saying,
get, yeah, I
imagine
get that.
the Big Bang has no cause.
I can imagine that, I guess, right? In that sense, where it's like, yeah, but
But I'm not sure what this Big Bang having a cause thing does anyways. Look, let's assume the Big Bang has a cause. Okay? What does that have to do with God existing?
because
How is
then
that getting you to God?
wouldn't it then be the case that something outside of space time
No.
would have to have caused it?
Well, that's not true. Obviously, there's multiverse theories, and in fact, there's popular principles of closure in philosophy, right? There's causal closure principles that the physical only stands in causal relations with the physical. So there's not reason to admit of a spirit. You could have just think there's another world that causes. There are serious philosophical and cosmological theories like multiverse theory, where you can explain the existence of this universe in terms of further. But even if we assume something like there's a non-physical cause, okay, what is that? How are you getting to God, though?
That would be the leap, though, right? Like that's the. But
I'm saying, imagine, I agree with you. I think there is a cause for the universe. I think it's non-physical. I don't believe in God. How do you get me to God?
it fits the definition of, I guess you would call the Abrahamic God, whatever you want to call him.
No, that
It
wouldn't
fits the
be
same
God.
description.
No,
Atemporal,
because many
outside.
the Abrahamic God has nothing to do with the cause of the universe. In fact, there's many Christians who deny God created the universe.
Really?
But again, we haven't gotten anywhere to a mind, which is one of the most vital, if not the whole crux of theism, that the being is minded, the cause is a minded being. There are serious atheists who just said what I just said, that there is a cause for the universe that's non-physical. Again, we're not just labeling anything God. See, obviously atheists, like, what? That's the Abrahamic God? No. Abrahamic gods say a lot more than this. Abrahamic gods is the descent from Abraham. There's nothing about Abraham involved. There's nothing even about a mind involved. So it doesn't even qualify as theism, let alone more specifically Abrahamic classical theism. I don't even know where you got that jump.
So we're like Christians, right? They think.
Look,
Don't
how do
they
we get to
think that
God,
God
though?
is the creator?
I'm granting you that there's a cause for the universe that's non-physical. How do you get to God?
Okay, so the Christian God, right? Isn't he the creator of the universe, and they have a description for him?
No, but we can assume that. Let's just assume in Christianity it's true by definition. God's the creator of the universe, even though that's just not true. Again, there are Christians who deny ex nihilo creation, God created the universe at all. The Bible does not say anything like that. But Yeah, let's assume that's true of that. Okay, God is in Christianity understood to be the cause of the universe. Okay, so how do we get to God?
Because the description that we have of him fits the same non-physical description of something that would cause
I agree. So how do we get to God?
That's kind of it. It's
So
like,
there's
okay,
no
well,
getting to God. You're just saying it's non-physical, like God is non-physical. Okay.
well, it exists
But that
outside of
doesn't,
space and time, right?
that's just what we mean by non-physical. That's not really saying anything new. But yeah, so we're just saying the cause is non-physical, and it seems there's nothing getting to God.
I know, I get your point. I'm trying to think a little bit. So the what would a non-physical cause look like if not like a God, the Christian God?
I don't know what you're asking. What would it look like?
Like, yeah, like what? Okay, if it's not God, what else could it be? I guess
Not God.
right. But like, what does that look like? What does that mean?
It means a being that doesn't satisfy the properties of God, but is also a cause for the universe that's non-physical.
I guess, yeah. I guess I'm screwed here because I don't know what the other properties of the Christian God what they
Look,
are.
let's just focus on it being minded. How do you get to it's minded?
It's minded. And what you mean by that is it's like thinking.
It has a mind.
It's kind of hard for me to understand what that means because like I'm looking at the mind from like me, a human. I know what a human mind looks like, but I don't know if that.
It's just a mind. It just has mental faculties. I don't really understand what's the confusion. Like, this is literally a part of theism. I don't know how you're... It sounds like you're saying you don't understand theism. It's like literally what it sounds like you're saying.
Fuck, maybe.
Like, you talked about Christianity. You know Christianity talks about God being minded. He has a will. He has beliefs. He has desires. He has values. He's a moral agent. He knows stuff. He's all-knowing. Like, obviously he's a mind. That's what all theists are saying. It's a minded being. I don't know... What's the confusion that you can understand Christianity, but you can't understand a non-human agent? Or even further, a mind, a non-human mind. That's literally what you're advocating for.
Yeah, you're right.
Sounds like you say you don't understand the view you're advocating for. Doesn't make any sense.
I'm trying to understand. How do you get to a mind then in that? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure you can. Right? I mean, you could do is like some sort of like fine tuning argument at that point, right? Where it kind of, if there is a cause like or whatever, this non-physical cause, you can kind of infer it has a mind because of the fine-tuned constants that we see in the observable universe.
Well, the fine-tuning argument isn't usually ran in that way, where it's talking about what causes the constants to be configured this way. Instead, they'd want to say something more modest, that it's just some evidence for theism. But I think that's false.
Okay. Well, ignoring whatever the actual standard fine-tuning argument is, because I don't exactly know every premise that that argument makes. But like just on like what I said, would that satisfy your how do I get to a mind?
No, because then it doesn't seem there's any explanatory work being done. Seems like you're doing something vicious, because you're kicking the can down the road. You're explaining a fine tuning with a further fine tuning. In fact, a worse fine-tuning, a more sophisticated fine-tuning. So that is in no way a good explanatory practice. Because God's mind is fine-tuned even worse than the natural world is fine-tuned. I don't even think there is fine-tuning. But granted, there's fine-tuning. The argument is just a problem because if you're treating the argument as explanatory theoretic, then what you're doing is you're explaining the fine-tuning of the universe with the fine-tuning of God's mind, where God's mind is more fine-tuned than the universe because God could have been fine-tuned to create a non-natural world or even be indifferent entirely to creation. So just the odds God's desires and values could have been, which rationalizes his behavior to fine-tune the world, are actually far more, the modal space is more broad than when talking about natural fine-tuning. So you're actually explaining a fine-tuning with a worse fine-tuning, where we could just stop at the world, because you're going to say God's psychology and values are so you're going to say one form of fine-tuning, a more complex, unsupported fine-tuning, explaining the fine-tuning we do have, and stop there, than just stop at the fine-tuning we already have, putatively.
Okay.
And another thing is like, how's fine-tuning, why would God even want a fine-tuned world? Like, wow.
Because doesn't it it has to be, air quotes, tuned this way to sustain life, or even like all the
God's
stars and
omnipotent,
matter.
so the point is that there's no restrictions on how the world could be. If God's in charge, he can make all the ways you configure the constants in ways that are hospitable for life. But what we find is that, or at least what fine-tuning purports, is that most of the ways you configure the constants in the physical conditions is ones where life is inhospitable. But why would a God make it that way?
Why would God make it inhospitable to life? Is that what you asked?
Most ways you configure the constants, yeah.
I guess you could say like they could have been different, right? Like the constants that we see. Like it didn't the universe itself, right? Like it didn't it didn't necessarily have to be, right? Like from what we understand, I think, in science, and you can grill me on this too, but like it's a probabilistic thing,
We're not
right? Where
disputing whether it could be different. We're talking about why would God make a world where most of the ways you configure the constants is ones where it won't allow for life. Why would God make that world?
I don't think he would.
But then why would you explain a datum with an explanation? If the thing explaining a God you don't think would make that world, then you just admitted it's not a good explanation.
Okay, wait, I'm a little confused. So I was saying, like,
if I had a grilled cheese on the floor and I explained it with a unicorn, but I don't have reasons to think if a unicorn existed, I would put the grilled cheese there, then by admission, the unicorn explanation is not any good. If I admitted there's not reasons to think the unicorn would have done the thing that we're saying the unicorn explains. So if you admit that fine-tuning isn't something expected on theism, but you're explaining fine-tuning with theism, then the theistic explanation for fine-tuning is not
that. I made a mistake.
Okay, so then the question is, why, if God existed, do you think you would make a world where most of the configurations of the constants is ones that are inhospitable to life?
Okay, that's where I'm lost. What do you mean? Well,
fine-tuning is that most of the ways you configure the constants will not allow for life. That life would not be permittable in that world. But why
I
would
thought it was
God
the
make that?
opposite of that.
No, that's coarse tuning. The opposite is coarse tuning. That most of the ways you configure the constants allow for life is not fine tuned. It's fine versus coarse. Like fine grain versus coarse grain. It's fine, meaning it's narrow. It's like in the name.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Like, why is why
Like,
is
like
it
think
so
about the
fine?
word fine detail,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I see what now. I get what you're getting at. Okay, you're saying like why does it have to be within such a narrow range? Like it could have been like a wide range. He could have made it that way.
Yeah. And there's also stuff about this argument assumes governing theory about laws and a bunch of other complicated metaphysical worries, but the argument isn't supposed to be saying God is the best explanation for fine tuning, because then it just seems like the explanatory type of move is horrible, because you're explaining fine tuning with a worse fine tuning. So that's
That's very interesting. I've never actually I haven't heard that before. Like this is the first time I'm hearing that.
They only want to say something this modest. They just want to say the existence of fine tuning is some evidence for God, not that God is the best explanation for fine tuning, but the claim that fine tuning is some evidence for theism is something I contest very strongly as well. I don't think it's an evidence for theism.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you for your time, man. That was super insightful. Like I was just, like I said, I'm just like a regular dude trying to learn more, read more.
Also, there's this. I mean, fine tuning isn't like this. People always tend to like appeal to physicists saying that there's fine tuning when the physicists are saying something that doesn't really support what the argument actually wants to say, because the physicists are not talking about the fine tuning that philosophers have in mind.
I think that's where I'm like pretty confused.
Because first, the philosophers are talking about life simpliciter, not the life we're familiar with. Physicists are talking about the life we're familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can imagine transformers are alive because they're sentient. Sentience is a sufficient but not necessary trait to say something is alive. So transformers are not biochemical life, right? They're like some type of different material, like mechanical organisms, or well, not even organisms because it's a biological taxonomical concept, but they would just be a form of life where, you can imagine even, like it's conceivable that a single molecule is alive. So that turns on the philosophy of life, what makes something alive, and it's talking about modal metaphysics, where we're talking about the facts about different non-existing physical worlds, how a world would be if you altered the constants, and whether that world would allow for our concept of life. Because our concept of life is more broad than what the biologies talk about.
Or even like would it allow for, what's that one constant? It's like the fact that like atoms can hold themselves together, like matter itself, right? It could.
I think it's the cosmological constant. But also, they also when running fine tuning, they're actually comparing naturalism to theism, because this whole fine tuning stuff is not really a problem for atheism generally, because atheists could just admit of spirits, and if there's spirits and there's spooky metaphysics, then the physical doesn't matter, because ghosts and spooky stuff are not tied to those physical stuff, right? So they want to compare it to naturalism, where we're treating life as strictly natural, where if there's like maybe molecules too distanced, then you wouldn't have complex physical configurations, and certain complex configurations are thought to be needed to have life. Oh,
can I
naturalism.
run one more thing by you? It's okay if you want to get the next guest though. It'll be, I think, pretty brief. It's just an idea I had.
Hmm. Yeah.
So if you assume humans will like eventually develop technology or assume some rate of technological advancement, at some point we're going to be able to simulate universes. And especially now it seems a little more plausible with AGI. um to me it doesn't seem so crazy to think about like the supernatural god if humans themselves can eventually produce some type of universe with intelligent life.
Well, what? How does that raise your confidence at all in theism? Theism is not a simulation hypothesis, so that
I
might be
know.
evidence for a simulation hypothesis, which it wouldn't be either. So, I mean, lying, we could say it's evidence for simulation. Theism is not a simulation hypothesis.
Yeah, and like that's kind of where it's a little weird because I'm not suggesting that we are in a simulation. I'm suggesting that if humans can produce something that is like a simulation, a real simulated universe, the craziness of us being created in a natural way isn't that crazy to me. Does that make sense? Because we can produce it in like the things in that. I don't know how else to like how to expand on that anymore, but it lowers the miraculousness, the like the
It just
the
sounds like you're
weirdness
saying
in it.
you're less disconfident in theism, but that's false.
Yeah,
For it to
that's
be
what I'm getting at, I
less
guess.
disconfident, theism would have to expect it for it to be an update. Theism doesn't expect you would have technology to create simulations. I don't see how that makes anything less surprising or something. Theism's less surprising if we have technology to create simulations. I don't even get that. What?
Yeah, because if God, right, if this thing exists and he is all powerful, all knowing, whatever, outside space time, but us within the bounds of physics can produce something very similar to the universe, if not exactly the same.
But that's
It
not
doesn't.
any evidence for theism. Because we're talking about creating a simulation and then we're talking about a god. Theism doesn't expect that we would create simulations. Simulations are not like, they're not like the neighbor to theism. I mean, maybe they're just not theistic though.
Valid. Yeah, it's not a very well formed thought that I had. Just wanted to get your take on that.
Yeah, but I don't like. The thing is, it sounds like you're gonna walk away still like this doesn't like. What is that doing for theism is talking
I
about a
mean,
spirit. There's a spirit that's minded, an immaterial, disembodied mind. It could cause the physical, non-physical, extremely powerful, can manipulate the cosmos at will. What does that do with organic life being intelligent enough to create pseudo-universes with technology?
I guess like okay, our tool would be technology, right? And that's enough. Like just literally just fucking rocks that we turn into chips. That's enough for
It
us
sounds
to
like you're
pull this.
assuming something like if God created that he would create agents that have similar psychology to him, where they also want to create universes. If that's the idea, then we just don't have reasons to think that. Yeah, but then that's not evidence for theism. That's evidence for a specific theism, which would just mean It's like saying this: if I have a marker or pen and I have background information, the colors of markers and pen are fair. If I see that the object is red, that's not evidence it's a pen, because as said, we have background information that the colors of pen and marker is fair. But that is evidence it's a red pen over it's a pen, simpliciter, right? It's more,
Yeah.
it's evidence it's a red pen over a yellow pen, but the probability it's a pen stays the same. It's just that a more specific type of pen is predicting that fact. Okay? But you're just making a specific theism more likely than other forms of theism, and the probability of theism changes nothing. And we don't have independent reasons to think that a God would be like that.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, like I am just like, well, contextually, just so you know, like I'm an agnostic theist, right? Like I just don't know, but kind of think there is a God. And that's unfortunately all I can go off is like just my personal experience. So I'm kind of trying to reason my way there to just help myself out a little bit. So that I get what you're saying, and that's 100% true. I mean, that's kind of what I'm almost intentionally doing.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I just don't think there's any reason to think that a God would be anything like that.
Valid. Super valid.
All right, well, I'm gonna let you go, though. Thanks for coming
Thank
up,
you,
though.
sir.
Yeah, no
Likewise.
problem. Have a good one. I don't know if this speak in English guy is the same as Pablo. They might just... I do think there's a contradiction with disembodied minds, but that's too complicated to talk about. I don't know if Serial meant to request, but I'll bring up Serial. They could just drop. I'm not bringing up Pablo. I'm not. Pablo, I'm not bringing you up. I'll bring up spoken English next. Let me bring him up. Yeah, what's up?
Hello.
Yeah, what do you have?
So are you an atheist?
Mm-hmm.
So what evidence do you require in order to believe in God?
I'm not sure what that's asking.
So what happens when you die?
What does that have to do with the topic?
Is it not concerning that somebody has lost his life just because he didn't believe in God?
What? I don't know what you're saying.
You cannot even scientifically disprove God, or you just say I'm not believing. It's your, I mean, you will, whether you believe in him or not. It does not have to do anything with science. Science even have not said anything about God,
Why are you
because he
talking
is
about
known.
science?
You have titled here that why believe in a God. So why is that? You said that you are an atheist.
How's that an answer to my question? I'm asking you why you're talking about... Like, nothing you're saying is coherent. You're saying random stuff doesn't even seem at all tied to the topic. Afterlife is not about a God. I don't know. Science is not about God. So I don't know why you're mentioning these kind of unrelated things. And even what you're saying is not only is it difficult for me to understand because your accent, but even the stuff you're saying doesn't even sound coherent. So let's just try and be more neat and on topic. I'm asking you if maybe you have an evidence or argument God exists. Do you have one?
Yeah, for everyone.
Okay, so what's your argument or evidence?
The argument is that universe cannot come from. I mean, it has a cause, and that's why we are here. Everything, atoms, stars, quark, proton, neutron, whatever.
Okay, so I think it's metaphysically impossible the universe has a cause, given my metaphysics of cause. But let's assume it makes any sense to say, and in fact, most philosophers, let's assume the universe, it makes any sense to say the universe has a cause. And even further, let's assume the universe has a cause. So assuming the universe has a cause, how do we get to God?
He has told us, and when we read scripture, when we read the scripture that is that is from God, where it is told that he is the creator
What's
of
the
the universe.
argument that the scripture is from God?
But we have to listen the full. But you have to listen the full argument.
I'm asking what's the argument for the claim scripture is from God?
Well, we are not here by accident. We have purpose of life, such as we have free will, do good or bad stuffs, depending upon people their interest. So if we do good and we believe in Him, we will go to heaven. And if we do bad stuffs and we
Yeah,
do
but now
not
you're
believe
just
in Him,
assuming the view I'm asking for an argument for. Don't tell me your view given art. Look, try and this shouldn't be this hard, right? Just keep focus. What's the argument for the claim the scripture is from God? When you say we're not created by accident, we're made by God, He gave us freedom, and we'll go to heaven someday. Obviously, that's assuming the thing we're disputing. I'm asking for reasons to think God exists. So you're saying the scripture is from God. Okay, why? What is the reason to think that?
so where did this material come from? I mean,
That's
it's
a question. That's a question. You need to give an argument. You're trying to justify your claim. You
no,
don't
just
ask
because
me.
you.
No, I'm asking you. Look, you justify your claim. So don't ask anything. Your claim is scripture is from God, and the argument for that is what?
Because it is unchanged, and it's not
Scripture is
written by.
unchanged.
Yeah, it's not written by human being.
Okay, and what's the argument for? I mean, obviously the scriptures have been changed of all type. I think that's just obviously empirically false, but and I think it's almost unreasonable to. We don't even need it. Like it's like obviously
Okay,
true
so-
scripture hasn't been changed. But I mean, look, let's
the-
assume scripture hasn't been changed. Okay, and so what's the argument for that's unwritten by humans?
Because if that would have been written by human being, there would have been many contradictions.
If it's written by human, there would have been contradictions. Right, and you think there's no contradictions?
No.
Right, and that's a claim I'm assuming you couldn't support.
So can you give me a
That's
verse or
burden
ayat?
shifting. That's burden shifting. When you make the claim there's no contradictions, I don't need to tell you a contradiction. My claim is not that there is a contradiction. Yours is that there's none.
So what is something that is preventing you to believe in God?
What? I don't even know what you said.
I believe because my logic and rationality says that there must be a God.
I
Without
can't
God, it
I
cannot
can't
be
imagine you justifying this claim. I can guarantee you cannot justify this claim that there's no
No.
contradictions. You can justify it? I mean, we could talk about it if you think you could justify their claim there's no contradictions. If you're willing to try and do that. But let's be honest. I mean, do you really think you could support that claim?
Yeah.
You do think you could support that claim?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
unchanged and
Not that it's unchanging, that there's no contradictions. So what would be the
yeah,
argument
there is
for
no there is no contradiction
that? Okay, so what's the justification for that?
because There are so many books and a lot of things that have been changed by the time.
I'm asking you for the justification. There's not contradictions in it.
Humans can make mistake.
Okay.
So
But
that's why I
how's that
said.
answering my question? How's this answering my question?
Yeah, I said humans can make mistakes. So that's why if it was written by humans, there would have been many contradiction. And the reason is that it does not have any
Oh
contradiction.
my god.
It
Listen.
directly indicates.
Listen.
Okay.
How do you seriously think you're like on the same page with me, or do you know that you're just dodging? Like, there's literally no way you're like lost in the conversation. It should be very clear you're not answering. What am I asking you to justify? Come on, what am I asking you to justify right now? I've been saying it for 2 minutes straight, or if not
You have
more.
to clear your stance, whether you are just not believing because of.
Don't ramble not answering my question. No one cares about that. I'm asking you, what am I telling you to do right now? What are you supposed to be doing? What am I asking you to justify?
Have you come by yourself?
That's not an answer. What am I asking you to justify?
It justifies because.
It justifies because you made a claim. I'm asking you to justify the claim. What is the claim I'm telling you to justify?
I said it would have been many contradiction if it was written by human being. And the reason is that it is not.
It's like you don't even know what I'm asking you right now. I'm asking you a question about the question asked, and you can't even answer the question about the question. This is so horrible. Look, I'm asking you to tell me the claim I've been asking you to justify. What is it I am asking you to justify? What proposition? There's a record of things said on screen. You should be able to puzzle it together, right? There's not even reason you should be lost. But if you look on screen, you should be able to figure out what is it I'm asking you to justify.
It's self-sufficient.
It's self-sufficient? That's not even... What is it I'm asking you to justify? Is the question I'm asking you.
Self-sufficient, bro. I cannot... we cannot... have any kind of infinite regression. Have you heard about it?
It's like you can never, what's the point of you coming up here if you can't answer a single question? Are you trying to answer, or are you not? I'm so confused. There's no way this is like that much of a challenge for you. It seems like you're just obviously not trying to answer. If that's the case, I don't even know why you're up here. You don't need to stay up here and waste my time, waste your time. Clearly, we're not going to move on from this point. We need to answer the question. If you know you're not answering, just leave. I'm fine with to just end it here. Dude, we've been fighting for minutes for you to answer a single question. Try and answer, bro. Just try answering. It's on screen. What claim am I asking you to justify? Or it's implied from what's on screen. What claim am I asking you to justify?
Because he says that if the book
not because
was
anything. Just what is it?
I can tell you the word.
Okay, tell me.
So why don't you accept that challenge, bro?
Okay, that's not an answer.
No,
that's now you're back to not trying to answer.
That's your hypocrisy, bro. Literally.
What is the question I'm asking you to answer?
I am saying that, yeah, the scripture, which is written by him, and
you're not
he says
even,
that.
now you're in, oh my God, try and answer. Try and answer. What question am I asking you? What is it I'm asking you to justify?
If you don't want to believe, then it is up to you.
But why are you doing, like, why are you still here if you're not going to answer the question? Dude, it's like
The
you're not
reason
even trying to
that
have a,
you
no. Like, you're not even trying to have this conversation. What the hell is the point of you being, can you try answering? How about this? I'm going to ask you, it's like layers of, it's like meta question. Are you willing to try and answer the question, yes or no?
I said, if it was, you have to prove.
Can you answer the question? Are you gonna be willing to attempt to answer the question, yes or no?
I said yes.
Okay, you're gonna be willing to answer the question. The question is, what is it I'm asking you to justify?
It is protected by God.
I didn't make out what you said. What?
The scripture is protected by God.
No.
It's not up to you to change it. Yeah.
No.
You cannot do it.
I'm telling you, no, that's not. The question is, what am I asking you to justify? There's something I am asking you to justify. If the thing you just said you thought is the thing I'm asking you to justify, I'm telling you, no, that is not what I'm asking you to justify. Again, what is it I'm asking you to justify? Are you looking at the screen?
Yeah, I'm looking.
Okay, so then why is this hard for you? Do you really have no idea what I'm asking you to justify? You could say that. You could say I have no clue.
Bro, I said humans can make mistakes, and
I'm not asking you what you're saying. I'm asking you, what is it I'm asking you to justify? So stop telling me what you're saying and answer my question. This is the thing with you. You just keep dodging the question. Either say you're not going to answer or try answering. Don't just waffle on with the question. Tell me you're not going to answer if you're not going to answer. At least that's productive. You said you're attempting, but you're not attempting.
You need to be flexible, bro. You need to hear. I mean, you need to hear our argument as well in order to.
I know, but
understand.
you also gotta answer people's question. What is it I'm asking you to justify?
I said, if it was written by human beings, there would have been many contradictions.
No, that's not what I'm asking you to justify. Look, I'm asking you to justify the statement that it has no contradictions. That's the claim you made. Okay, I'm gonna let you go. Thanks for playing. Literally a buffoon. Hey, what's going on? What do you got?
How's it, man? I hope you're keeping well.
Yeah. You got evidence
Good.
arguments gotta exist?
Yeah, well, for me, just to lay down my position, I say yes, but it's not that I actually want it to be true. But logically, for me, it seems
That's
to be
fine.
true.
Just what's
I
your
want it
best
to be
evidence
true.
or argument?
So, space, time, and 80 trillion years ago, I can't say existed. Based on the physical evidence, it's equal to the thoughts of a rock. A non-existent state of non-existent structured order. Space, time, and matter needs a framework. No framework can be a framework without laws, but no law can be a law without embedded structured order. So what explains the is not to the is state? Now, there's only two options.
Yeah, we're not playing with this gibberish generator. I'm sorry. Are we serious? Hey, what's up?
Hey, how you doing? Yeah,
What do you got?
I'm here.
Yeah, but what do you got? You got evidence or arguments?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I always argue with Christians that I'm God, that I is God.
That you're God?
No, that I is God. Everyone's got everyone's sort of like, you identify with pronouns and stuff, but at the core of it, you're basically consciousness in a meat sack. You know, a cat's conscious.
Like, why do people come up to say this crap? Dang, this live is real bad. Not a single 15 plus IQ guest today. He dropped. No one on Discord. This is the first time I might fear YouTube guests would be better. Yeah, what do you got?
For me, it's an argument because I cannot give a physical evidence like something exists.
I'm just asking, what's your argument or evidence?
My argument is that I believe there is a cause for everything in the universe, and I will give that cause the name God, and I'll give you the explanation for it. This is the thing. I believe that every physical entity in the entire universe has a cause. And therefore, I will conclude that if everything in the universe is a subset of the whole set, which is the universe, then it will be true if I say that the set by itself has a cause. So this is the thing. I cannot say that this cause controls how human beings do things, but at least I can say that it's the best explanation for things happening in the world, because otherwise we will not have originated from nothing. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't know what you're saying. I understand that you want to say everything in the universe has a cause, that you have a mereological view of the universe, that the universe is just a set of its parts. So if all of its parts has a cause, the universe itself has a cause. But where does God get anywhere into that?
This is the thing. If everything has a cause, then there must be something to cause that thing to happen. It cannot just come from nothing.
You're saying the existence of the universe? Wait, what? So you're saying the existence of the universe is a cause?
Yes, it
and
needs
why
a
would
cause.
why would you think that?
I will think that because everything in the physical existence that I know, that I can see with my eyes or I can touch, has a cause.
You never experience things that have non-material causes. You don't observe ontological, like robust accounts of cause where something does not exist and then comes into existence. Like ex nihilo causation, you don't observe. The types of causes you see is that something is made of matter, is configured in some way, and then there's an explanation at some later moment of time why it's configured differently. You never observe things come into existence. So that's the type of thing you're talking about, which your induction would not support.
Okay.
In fact, that would be evidence against the thing you're talking about.
No, this is the thing though. Everything, again, I said it, everything that exists physically has a cause. And the universe by itself is actually a physical thing. If you classify every physical entity in the universe
Okay,
having
but
a
you're
cause.
saying there's a cause for the universe existing, and I don't see
Yes.
what would be. Not only is it unclear what the support for that is, in fact, the thing you just said would be evidence against it, but even if I assume that to be true, it's unclear where God gets in.
God gets in to the point that for that cause to happen, there must be someone to cause it, or something, or an
Okay, well,
entity
that's just
to cause it.
okay. The first thing you said assumes God. If you're just saying something, that's consistent with
An
atheism.
entity.
So the question, all right, so let's assume there's something that causes the universe. So how do you get to God?
I'm saying this is the best explanation for me to explain this entity I call God, because I cannot comprehend God. Because if I had the ability to comprehend God, then He wouldn't be God.
I'm confused. So we have the universe has a cause. How do we get that that God exists, or God is the cause?
Because it cannot have come by itself. It cannot come from nothing. That's something that we can.
What cannot come by itself?
The universe cannot just come into existence.
Okay,
by
I
itself.
don't know why you would say that. Are you paying attention? I just said, granted the universe has a cause. What's the inference from the universe has a cause to God exists? And you said the universe does not have a cause. That doesn't answer my question. We're assuming the universe has a cause. Now I'm asking you, how do you get a God?
My understanding of God is this entity that causes the universe.
Okay, that's just not what... If you're just defining God as the thing that caused the universe, then you would be calling many atheists theists. Clearly, that's... Maybe you don't know what theism means, but that's just not theism.
But if I call that
there are atheists who think the universe has a cause. Like, explicitly.
That's what I think.
So you just want to label atheists theists? But that means you don't understand, like, the whole philosophy of religion landscape and what is the substantial dispute between atheist and theist. You're just relabeling people something, and you're not dissolving any conflict. You're just saying, I'll call anyone who believes there's a cause for the universe a theist, and anyone who doesn't, atheist, while there's people who are already assigned atheists who believe the universe has a cause. Clearly, then that means the word atheist by their lights is picking out something different. And I think you know this. You know atheists are not just people who think the universe doesn't have a cause. This is rather obvious.
I might believe that this causing agent or this causing entity might have some powers over how things...
Do you understand that atheism is not the view that the universe doesn't have a cause? You know that, right?
Yes, I know there are some people...
Okay, so you know it's logically consistent that you're an atheist and you believe the universe has a cause, but you're saying you're just defining God as the thing that caused the universe. So you would be calling many atheists theists.
If someone...
So I could just call atheists people who don't believe I'm wearing socks. I could just call atheists that. That's not what the word atheist means, right? That type of label is a philosophically saturated concept. There's
I never labeled anyone.
You just said you're calling God the thing that caused the universe. So theists are going to be people who believe there's a cause for the universe, and atheists people who don't. And that's just not what atheism and theism means standardly. This is just idiosyncratic. You're just taking words that already have existing meanings, then you're just giving them new meanings, and then saying that that's a reason to be a theist when you know that's not what people are talking about. You can easily dissolve, or you can easily do that for anything, right? I could say fairies exist and everyone disagrees with me, and by fairies I mean hats exist. Okay, yeah. Well, I'm a fairyman. I think fairies all I mean by fairies exist is hats exist. That's not what people mean by fairies.
But this is the thing. Every theist believes that the universe has a cause, which is God.
That's false. That's also false.
So can you classify someone being a theist and doesn't believe in causality of the universe?
Yep. Yeah, of
and
course.
Who would that people? An example of someone like that, maybe, or a religion, or a form
like an
of
example is a Christian. There's Christians who explicitly deny the universe has a cause.
But the religion itself, as a theology, does it negate the fact that the world has been caused, or the universe actually been caused by God?
No, it's not essential to Christian. If it was essential to Christianity, they wouldn't be Christians. I just told you. Of course, no. Christianity doesn't.
Itself says that Christianity the world was created by God in the Bible.
The Bible does not say God created the universe. That is false.
It says that in the beginning there was God.
Mm-hmm. That's consistent with the universe always existing.
The world in like six days, I believe. I'm not a Christian, so, but I actually have some knowledge about that.
That sense of creation doesn't imply ex nihilo creation. That's the point I'm making. It's consistent that he creates non-ex nihilo, so the universe already existed. The same way I can create a flute out of chopping down a tree and carving a flute, I can create the flute, but there's a different sense of create where I can create the atoms that compose the wood. I could literally make the matter out of nothing and create the flute. Most Christians do think God created matter out of nothing, right? Literally, there wasn't already a material world and God molded it and created this world. But there are Christians who think that. There are Christians who think God never created space-time matter. Space-time matter already existed, and God molded the matter the same way I can mold the tree into a flute, and I can say I created the flute.
No,
That's the
the one
types
who's now,
of that
the
type
one
of
who's
ex
actually now
nihilo creation
labeling.
is. Sorry, you're
You are
interrupting me.
labeling Christians right now. I'm sorry.
I'm saying there's Christians who have this view.
As long as you
I
have that view, then if your theology actually contradicts your view, then you cannot belong to that particular theology.
the
That's the
theology
thing.
doesn't strongly imply the metaphysics. There's denominations where you read alternatively. It's consistent with that you believe what is said in the Bible and you read it different than how someone else reads it. Maybe you're considered a heretic to various denominations, but you're not denying what the Bible is saying. You are agreeing with what the Bible says, but you're reading the text differently than how other Christians might read it.
But
So
if
I
you
don't know what you're
claim
talking
that
about.
the
You're not a
universe has
Christian.
not been created by that fact, then it goes beyond the Bible and its teaching. That's the thing, because the
No,
essence of the Bible
I
is
just
that
explained how it's
everything,
consistent. I
everything
just
in
explained.
existence in the whole
I just
world
was
was created by God.
Oh my God. I just explained how that's false. That's consistent with what I just said. I just finished explaining how you can be a Christian and deny ex nihilo creation. And I even gave you an analogy with how I can create a flute out of wood, where I don't make the matter. I don't actually make the matter out of nothing. I create it from a thing that already exists, right? I don't need to create the tree to create the flute. The tree could already exist and I could just manipulate the form of the tree into a flute and you could say I created it. In the same way, the universe could already exist and God could be said to create the universe by just manipulating the already existing universe and form it to the universe as it now is. And that's still
But the Bible says
consistent
there
with
was no
creation,
light and it brought light. So
right? That's consistent with what I'm saying.
it was not there, but now it comes into existence.
Right. Still consistent with what I'm saying.
He causes it. That's the thing.
Right. That's consistent with what I'm saying. Like there's,
If it's
I don't,
consistent with what we are saying, then every person who believes in a theist or in a God have that universal acceptance that the whole universe, as it is, has been created by
and
the
obviously,
entity called God.
yeah, I don't know what's the difficulty here. This is getting tiresome. Obviously, there are Christians who deny God created the universe. I'm not going to keep. This is not something controversial. There are theists explicitly who identify as Christian. There are theists more generally who think this, though they might be a different sense of the word theist. So we might want to flag that. But obviously, Zeus is a god, and Zeus did not create the universe. That's an instance of a god that didn't create the universe. Or Thor is a god. Thor did not create the universe, right? Though that might be a different sense of the god, so we could flag that. But obviously, there's more Western popular forms of Christianity like Abrahamic, where Abrahamic theists would deny God created the universe, right? There are Christian theists who would deny ex nihilo creation. If you deny ex nihilo creation, then that means the universe always existed. And when God creates it, all that means is he's changing its form. Just like when I create a tree, I change the form of the tree to make a book. I make paper out of an already existing tree. You don't create the tree from nothing. When you say I make the book, people aren't thinking you make the matter that composes the book. They think the matter already existed and you changed it into that. So there are Christians who say that God creates not ex nihilo. The Bible does not say God creates ex nihilo. It just says God created the world, and that's very ambiguous, and that does not imply any robust philosophical commitments. So you can read the theology and you can compose your own metaphysics in line with the reading of the theology in various ways. And in fact, I don't even think the reading that I just described Christians endorse is even heretical. But even if it's heretical, they're still nonetheless Christian.
I do get your point, and I'll just have a final question for you. before I leave. This is the thing.
Let me ask, is there a denomination of Christianity that denies ex nihilo creation? Yep. LDS denies ex nihilo creation. Mormonism denies creationism, as well as it's permissible in various doctrine. So yeah, again, like literally, there's denominations that explicitly allow that. In fact, invite that metaphysic. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, I understand.
I don't know how this is disputable. Theism is not defined as the view a mind created the universe. You can have gods that don't even create anything. It's just consistent with theism that there's a being that doesn't even create at all. Theism is that there's a... So look, this is just wrong. You should probably read into philosophy of religion and see what people mean by God, because God does not mean the thing that creates the universe. But that aside, is the point is, all you've said is that the universe is created, and you're not providing anything to think a God exists. An atheist obviously can admit the universe is created. There are many atheists who believe the universe is created, but they're not theists. If by God you just mean the thing that created the universe, atheists think there is a thing that created the universe, and you're just redefining God.
How will they define that thing? That's the question now.
What do you mean, how would they define the thing?
I will define...
You're just putting a label on whatever. You're just putting a label. Yeah,
yes, I'm
but
putting a label on it.
That's not what that label picks out in religion.
What label will they pick? That's the question. Because if they
by
believe
a God usually means an immaterial, disembodied mind that acts on the basis of reason, is extremely powerful, and can cause both the material and immaterial. That's how largely theism is defined. It does not require that that being actually even creates anything, let alone creates the universe. What I just told you is how it's popularly used in philosophy or religion, and captures most religious talk.
How will the atheist who claim that, or who believe that there is a cause for the universe, give an explanation for this cause? Because you need an explanation for this cause.
That's irrelevant.
It's relevant because you cannot just say there's a cause and then you can't explain the cause.
I agree. When you make a claim, it could be justified. That doesn't matter to the point. The point just is it's logically consistent with atheism. The universe has a cause, and many atheists have that view. Now, you can consult those atheists and ask them for their justification like you can for anything, right? I could say it's logically consistent. I ate ramen today and it rained today. And you could say, okay, what's the argument? It rained today and you ate ramen today. Yeah, that's not the point I'm making. Right? Go fight with people who have those beliefs. The point is those beliefs are consistent.
Yes, but the situation you actually give me, those are two independent things. They don't exist at the same time.
Okay, I think I'm just done with you. I mean, there's literally nothing going on besides like this, like really moronic semantic dispute.
What's up, Mikey boy?
Yeah,
yo, you remember Logically?
Who?
You know, on Discord.
Logically? I'm not sure I remember.
Yeah, on Discord. I think his name is Goat. But I don't know if you remember him, but...
Is that you, or...?
No, I know him, I know him. I think...
No, I'm not
you
sure
you don't remember? I think you're in a GC, but I think I'm in a GC with you and him.
No, I don't remember them at all, to be honest. I don't remember anyone named Goat.
Oh, shit, I'll tell him that. But you gotta amp me. You gotta amp me on like philosophy and ontology.
Like, is that all you came to say, or?
Yes, you gotta amp me.
Moxie, I think I'm ready to end this live.
Bro,
this live has
why are
been
you trying to
trash.
laugh, bro? I keep seeing.
Hey, what's up, Legacy? What do you got?
Hi there, man. So I'm actually not here to debate. I'm an atheist just like you. So I have a claim that humans are instinctively and naturally driven to believe in the existence of a God. If you consider this claim true, why is that so?
You're asking me if I believe that?
Yes, and if you do, so why is that so?
I don't think that.
All right. So thanks, man.
Thanks for coming up. We got Center Star. Hey, what's going on?
Not much. Have we talked before? I obviously follow you. Maybe you had a different topic another time. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyways, on the topic at hand, I do have some thoughts on it. The very existence of ourselves is duality, with higher frequency being things like love, light, heat. And then, the opposite would be the opposite would be hate, cold, cut off, alone, those kind of things. And if we labeled the highest extreme good, a derivative of that would be God, and the lowest extreme would be evil or devil. And so what we're doing is essentially assigning a being.
You guys fucking suck at getting guests up here. I gotta say, I gotta address the elephant in the room. You guys, I don't know if there's a technique to tapping the screen. I don't know if you like scratch your ass and tap the screen and then it bleeds into the screen and the guests smell it and they come attracted over here. That's how we get shit guests or what, but you know what, guys? I'm done for today. You know what? I'm done. I'm sorry. We can't get nobody good here. Bro, why is no one on Discord joining? Someone on YouTube gotta join the Discord. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say that the YouTube chat is doing kind of
Don't
cool.
worry, people on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube people don't. That's not. You're not a part of that pile. You guys are fine.
Exactly.
Why is it always our fault? Because you guys are the TikTok people. You guys are supposed to be managing the TikTok guests. You're like literally. We're supposed to be getting like people with like high quality like Lux tux wearing guests, and then you're escorting people from literally the alleys, sleeping with half a chicken in their mouth, a chicken wing.
Yo, this guy's hungry.
Who, me? Maybe karma is real and it's punishing you. I'm not sure what I did to deserve this. I'm not gonna lie.
Have you considered debating anything else than debating God, or you just want to limit yourself to this obvious single-handed topic that no one cares about?
I'm thinking about talking about maybe is being gay wrong, because that gets you a lot of views. I actually have a background for that. But
Who's the chick that is friends with
AG.
Is it AG? Is that the one? I think I recalled you like reposting a live stream. Why gay people is wrong or something like that. That's AG, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Team up with her or co-host or something.
Yeah, she lets me join whenever. I just don't often join her lives.
Yeah, I don't know these people. I just for people saying the chick, I don't know.
What about this one? Should we do this one?
Holy shit, that's so iconic.
It's iconic. Talk about Quine Putnam's indispensability argument. That's what the masses want. Yeah. I'm sure I could get to 5 viewers in a speed run talking about that. I mean, maybe not, because Platonism is quite I mean, I don't know. I mean, I have a somewhat philosophically interested audience, but I don't think anyone wants to hear
Godless
talk.
Girls is asking for a working Discord link in the YouTube chat.
Does the Discord not work? Can a mod send a working Discord link? I'll just pin it. I'll wait 5 more minutes for one more guest. I'm telling you, I'm doing one more guest.
So you want to run away? Okay.
What is that? Karovsky's case for necessitarianism? I have no clue who that is. And this is the person who was talking about the amping. Why does he keep requesting? Let me see if a mod posted it. Ping. Yeah, thank you.
Sola, I don't know how to pronounce it. W YouTube mods.
Solezo.
You'll let the person who's gonna amp you on what topic? I don't know.
You said amp me?
Yeah.
You mean amp him?
No, isn't it crazy how splitting a cloud actually makes you multi-galaxy level?
I think you like smoke the galaxy packs or something like that.
Do you still agree with that? Do you still support that, Calc?
One Piece. You're talking about that?
Yeah, you still support that one?
No, I think that's like a country level feat, though. In honesty.
Yeah, I think it's country level. Wait, do you still do One Piece?
Well,
like scaling or whatever.
I've done one recently in private, which no one knows about, but no, I don't really do that.
Oh,
no, he's a little ashamed, but he's like really good at it.
That's 2020 monkey boy.
You know, I actually did a calc because I watched the Jordan. I don't know if you've seen the Jordan videos with the Naruto people going on.
No.
Oh, well, there's this whole TikTok beef where this one creator named Jordan was smoking these freaking dumbass Naruto people, talking about insane stuff. Bro, I'm not gonna lie. People sleep on the One Piece verse. The One Piece verse is like a strong as hell. Dude,
I can't get around watching One Piece. I might read it though.
You should read it, yeah. Bro, for all the One Piece people here, bro. You wouldn't even believe this, but the Hody Jones pills is like the most busted thing in One Piece. Naruto's Universal, not even close. But funny enough, you could get the One Piece verse to freaking Universal with the Hody Jones pills.
No way.
They said they're 2 times and they're exponential. So when you eat 2, you get when you eat 1, you get twice. When you eat 2, you get 4. When you get 2, you get, or sorry, when you eat 4, you get 8. Then when you eat whatever, I'm horrible with math, but it's exponential by 2. And Hody Jones literally eats almost 200 fucking pills, which is like trillions of times amplification. And he was relative to Arlong, who was like multi-town level or some crap. And I actually did the calc. It actually got him to Universal.
Wait, how do you get from... Wait, even if it's like trillions, how do you get from multi-town to uni?
Or not trillions, because what is 2 to the power of 200?
Oh, well, that's definitely not trillion. That's like...
It's 1.6 E60. So yeah, that's...
Yeah.
That's, no one knows what that number is.
Could you power scale God?
Wall level.
Well, I don't want to lose followers talking about this, so I think we can end this here.
Yeah. I'm gonna get bored real quick.
Someone said in the YouTube comments, I think, let me look at it again. I don't know if I can scroll. No, I don't think I can scroll. But some Muhammad guy or something is online, and you should kind of hit him up to debate.
They could join the Discord. I haven't been reading the YouTube chat at all. You know why? Because I just flip every once in a while to check if they're spamming or if there's a gift. But we haven't gotten any spammers or gifts. So, but let me see.
Your guests aren't even that bad, Monkey Boy. Like, your guests aren't even that bad. I've done lives before. I've done lives before. I got some really awful guests.
Who's Mohammed Hajib? That's the guy you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Hijab.
Okay.
Is it Hajib? I don't know.
No, you're right. I just
It's spelled
dude, I have like really
hijab.
bad thoughts, bro.
Oh, we got someone in the queue. Let me see. Let's see how long I can tolerate them, because I'm actually about to do. Hey, what's up?
What's up? I think that you should believe in a God because, well, one, God exists because allism is true. That's most of the arguments. Like, if allism is true, then God exists. Then allism should therefore God exist.
Allism?
Yeah, like metaphysical allism. It's the theory that everything exists, or all things exist. And given that all.
Yeah, I'm ending this live.
Yo, no,
The theory that
don't
all exists.
don't end it.
Yep, we're done.